ask questions to the speaker. So I would like to introduce you guys to Guillermo Mejia, who represents Semanta, Eduardo Durazo, who represents Certis Universidad, and Charles, who represents Toolbox. And we'll let them introduce themselves, but first, pick up all of them.
So thank you for having us here. It's a great honor being here in San Diego. As I think we're still missing the tacos. Anyway, I'm a managing director of MyHub, which we're a tech incubator. We started about 4 years ago. We specialize in startups in very early stages, mostly in the idea phase, and we're part of a larger corporate who do software development. So we do a lot of tech-based solutions. Over the 4 years that we've running, we've launched about 20 startups, some for the Mexican market, some for the US market. Of those 20, 11 are still active, and we're hoping to have our next batch this year.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I love tequila, tacos, and technologies. I think I'm in the right spot. My name is Eduardo Durazo, and I work at Certis University. We are the largest private university in Baja. We are located in 2 cities, Ensenada, Tijuana, and Tequila. And as part of our services, we have an incubator that attends mostly people that came out of Certis now. They're graduated people. But we also have projects not from Certis people. So thank you for having me.
Thanks to you. Thank you, Charles.
Sure. So Charles Gillespie, I'm an old San Diego startup guy. So my first startup here was in 1993. An internet startup. But earlier this year, I made an investment in Toolbox, which is one of the first and one of the only accelerators in Mexico that's certified by the government of both incubator and accelerator. Actually headquartered in Morelia. So we have an interesting model where we work with corporate venture partners, with the government, and we do scouting now all over Latin America and even here in the U.S. We just signed our first company from the U.S. side to come down to whatever unit going on in California.
Thank you very much. Would you like to add something?
Yeah, at Certis University, we have like a strong relationship with South California because a lot of students come into our university to get their bachelor's degree. So I think they have an environment in which they can relate. I mean, if you go at least to the university and as you mentioned to the city, you can see that things are not as used to be in the past. So I must say you are very welcome if you want to come, and if you want to visit Certis in Tijuana, it's going to be an interesting trip.
You had the dual certificate, you have students, U.S. students in Mexico.
Yeah, we have a double degree with City University from Seattle. So some students that decide to pursue the double degree, they get their Mexican degree and their diploma from a U.S. university.
Thank you very much. Guillermo, would you like to add something?
Well, I think they covered most of it. Just bear in mind, you are in another country, so it's more than anything else that hasn't the crossing, but it's very close. And also bear in mind that Baja California has, if not the largest, second largest expat community living there. So I mean, it's very safe, and around Mexico, that's probably one of the safest borders in the world.
Thank you very much. So can you tell me how to get a word? A word? Letter. Ticket. Ticket. So ticket is related to investment. Usually that's what we relate it to, investment. So talk about a ticket, like how much does it cost? I mean, does the incubation program has a cost for entrepreneurs? How is the investment in your incubators? How about in terms of cost?
Okay, so like I said, we focus on early stage startups. So if you go to a regular incubator or startup in most of the world, they'll probably give you like a $50,000 grant, and then you go and hire your tech team. So what we offer is we have a specialized tech team that actually is good at executing and delivering MVPs, and we estimate that our cost is around our investments around $30,000 per startup. and we ask for 10% equity, which is somewhere between 8 and 10%, depending on the market value of the product, how advanced it is. But it's about the same cost at any part of the world.
Thank you. Eduardo?
The service at the CETIS incubator is free, but I must say we have a long line of entrepreneurs coming into our school. But one model that we're exploring lately is that for the final semesters, students get involved in consulting for entrepreneurs. So for example, if you get these high-tech guys that don't know too much about finance, then the professor and the students that are finishing its final project, they go and give that information into the entrepreneurs. So I think we're tackling the long line of entrepreneurs that way, and I think we're making a good progress.
Thank you. Charles?
So Blue Box has an interesting model that involves both government support and corporate venture partners. One of the things that we've done that's been really successful is that we work with companies like Sinopolis, the luxury movie theater chain, Volaris, the airline, Alestra, which is a big tech AT&T spinoff, Medio Tiempo, to build sort of custom branded accelerator incubator programs for those venture partners that we run, powered by Blue Box. And because we're certified as a high impact incubator accelerator by the government, when we scout companies, they frequently front most of the cost of the program. Call it $50,000 cost of the program. They'll pay 90% of that cost for the startup. And then the program is really a partnership with the corporate venture partner. So we just kicked off the Volaris program in Tijuana. The previous Sinopolis accelerator, there were I think 10 companies in it. The company that sort of won, the one they liked the best, Sinopolis just made a $100,000 investment in that company, cash investment, and on services. And so each program is a little bit different based on the needs of the company that's the primary venture partner. But it's not no cost, but it's relatively low cost to participate in our programs if you're selected.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go over here. Select work.
Taxes.
Taxes. Talk about taxes. I guess it will be like a general question about taxes in Mexico, regulation, kind of thing, how to start a business in TJ, something like that. Yeah, Eduardo might have some data.
Yeah, I think taxes are not fun anywhere in the world. So Mexico is not the exception. But I must say we have been doing a lot of progress in terms of opening a company. The path used to be long, but now it is not. And I think it depends a lot of which sector you are, because if you're in a strategic sector, then the government has mapped out in each state. And if you're, for example, a software developer, then you will get this kind of benefits of money that government puts into these kind of support programs. But I must say, we've been doing a lot of progress, and I don't think it's not that burden that used to be.
Okay, thank you. Charles, Guillermo, would you like to ask something?
Yeah, I mean, taxes are a mixed bag. So, but one thing we recommend that it's obviously is that you probably could incorporate in the U.S. without a problem, and then create this branch of your own company that actually could do some sort of working or maybe development low cost. I mean, the large manufacturers like Sony and Samsung have done it for years, and they have other breaks. So maybe that's an option. It gives you a couple of advantages. First of all, if you raise an investment in San Diego or the U.S., I mean, the investment probably could be more trustful of you if you are incorporated in the U.S. So you have that advantage, and then you have the low cost actually execution in Mexico. So we could go either way. Either if you want to, your market is in the U.S. or Latin America.
Thank you. Charles, would you like to ask something?
I guess taxes are fun anywhere. There are differences in the regulations around company formation, intellectual property, things like that between the U.S. and Mexico, and you have to kind of understand those things. We have a partnership with Ernst & Young in Mexico that handles a lot of accounting and legal issues for us and our startups. One of the things that if you're a startup that's headquartered in Mexico or Latin America, you need to think about incorporating in the U.S. If you're going to take investment from U.S. investors, it's generally not a bad thing, not too difficult. It's really a process of creating trust with your investor community, wherever they're from. So basic stuff, you got to have your books really well put together, well managed, incorporation in the right jurisdiction, all of the right legal and accounting practices in place. It's common for any startup anywhere in the world, really, and because we operate in this sort of global binational region, we get to choose the best from each side of the border. I can tell you that doing legal and accounting work and paying in pesos is a huge relief if you're used to doing it in dollars. So, there are lots of advantages to doing it.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go over here. You come down with track. So I hope this is an interesting question because it will be a little bit of your story about your incubator, how it started, your story as an incubator. What is the place, stuff, a little bit in general about your incubator?
Sure. So as we stated, we started about 4 years ago. So a little background: we started as a large software development firm. We've been working for 12 years as a firm. It's called Arcus Nexus. We've developed projects for large U.S.-based customers, a couple of insurance companies, Playboy Corporate, Fandango.com, other startups in San Diego. So about 4 years ago, we discovered we had some products that we needed to launch to the market. So we created this incubator to actually teach those engineers how to service the market, understand the marketing aspect, the commercial aspect, and how to develop a product based not on the engineering specs, but actually on the demands of the market. So we did develop this incubator, and then we opened it up to get other projects from people outside the building. In the last 4 years, we launched, like I said earlier, 20 startups. I could quote a couple of them. So one of them actually raised a $100,000 seed fund, and it's in the medical devices. It's for expats living in Mexico. The other one, which is Clublia, it's an ed tech. We have around 8,000 users. It's mostly focused on schools, and the schools all over Mexico, but also a couple of schools in Peru and Colombia are using that application. So we're very proud of that. The rest of it, since we're really focused on early stage, we haven't really gotten a successful exit. Again, Mexico is very new. I think one company has actually, whole Mexico has raised somewhat considerable money. So hopefully we'll be the first one. So.
Thank you. Well, you covered different words, but Eduardo?
Yeah. As I mentioned, the story comes that a lot of graduates came back into our school to ask for advice. So it comes very natural to open an incubator. We've been around for 5 or 6 years. And for the last 3 years, we've been accredited by the Ministry of Economy as an incubator. And that means that entrepreneurs can access these funds. You don't have to pay back sometimes those funds. So it's very convenient because you can put a check mark in that when these funds come, and if you come to our process, then you're good to go.
Thank you, Charles. When did you start, or how long have you been operating?
Yeah, so Blue Box has been around for almost 5 years, I guess now, and has worked with I think over 70 different startups, mostly in Mexico, but now outside of Mexico as well. Again, this corporate partnership model is really interesting. One of the advantages of that is that the corporate partners are deeply involved in the acceleration and incubation process. So when we have mentoring with our startups, it's the director of finance for Synopsis. it's the HR director for Volaris. It's, you know, it's the publisher for maybe a Tiempo in the sport world. And so the reason they're chosen typically is because the corporate partner has an interest in their product or service, right? So Sinopolis cares about anything that happens, you know, to their customers in entertainment and the retail environment. And Volaris cares about anything that happens to their customers either before, during, or after a trip. So, you know, the kinds of companies that they chose just recently are one of them is a startup around pet management, right? Because a lot of their travelers have pets that they either need to leave at home, or they need to find boarding for, or they need to travel with, and so it's a whole community around pet ownership and travel. Another is an HR training employee evaluation tool online that you know, it is very localized for you know, the Latino culture, which for Volaris. And so, you know, it's a broad range of the kinds of startups. But the advantage to the startup is you've got a built-in huge corporate customer, right? And you're learning directly from them how to work with a company like that, which is a lot. It's a real shortcut to success. Because if you can work with Sinopolis or Pilates or Axtel, you can work with other companies in the industry.
Okay, thank you. Please go forward. Tools. So what kind of tools do you offer to the projects that are incubated? Or what tools do you use, either programming, methodologies, etc.? Yeah.
So, we, like I said, we have a good pool of dedicated engineers who work at different levels on different types of projects. So we probably have most of development covered, and if not, we'll probably find someone in the building. And in that, I could get more specific on different technologies, but we work with different procedures. We're CMMI level 3 certified for those who understand those technical terms. But actually, I think the greatest advantage we offer is we are a gateway both to Latin America and to the US. So if you're a startup that already established in the US and have a market, and you want to expand and you don't know how to access the market, I think that tool we do offer. I mean, we can tropicalize it. We can actually help you with mentors trying to understand the difference between the shape of the market. And if we have a couple of cases where San Diego startups they need to develop the product, and before they get the US regulation, especially for medical devices, they'll probably do it in Mexico. They'll have more freedom to do the medical device or appliance testing, and then try to get the certification in the US marketplace. So we have a long list of mentors both in the US and the Mexican side. We do work with Luzwa Cetis, but also Startup Chile, Startup Mexico. We're expanding to find some other resources in Latin America. So we want to be that gateway or that soft landing for startups that want to expand to Latin America.
Thank you. Eduardo, what kind of tools do you offer?
I must say we attend a lot of traditional businesses. That's like most of our customers. But so we have to do like the regular business plan, business model, and all that stuff that they don't necessarily come with it. So we go through all this process, and then after they're ready with their pitch and all their stuff, then maybe we can pass it on into more sophisticated accelerators or incubators that can help them go to the next level.
Great. Thank you. Charles?
Yeah, you know, as I mentioned, we work directly with the key folks within the corporate venture partner. So we're teaching people how to use the tools that are already used by what they hope will become their biggest customer. So that's tremendously useful. I will say that one interesting thing that we tried with the last Sinopolis accelerator is we rented this huge house in downtown Morelia, which is where they're headquartered as well. And we just moved the executive team from 4, 5, 6 different startups into this house. So there was all kinds of really interesting and fun interaction between a whole group, a whole cohort of startups that were part of that accelerator incubation process, and between that and headquarters for Sinopolis and Blue Box, which are right nearby each other. It was a really vibrant, dynamic environment in which to launch a bunch of different companies. So, cool environment. Cool fun.
Thank you very much.
Turf.
Turf. So Turf is basically, very quickly, where are you guys located? Where are your offices, either in headquarters or in Tijuana?
So we're located in Tijuana. It's in downtown Zona Rio. So we're fairly accessible. I mean, we're like 5 minutes, fast distance from the border. But we actually are looking for projects all over Mexico, not only Baja California, and also in San Diego. So.
Thank you.
Oh, we're inside the university, so we have like very good infrastructure. We have like this beautiful campus, I would say. So it's Fraccionamiento El Lago is located. Tijuana.
And you also have campuses in the region, right?
Yes, in Ensenada, Tijuana, and Mexicali, all 3 campuses has its own incubator facility.
And so that's focused on ocean art studies, right?
Yes, of course.
Charles?
Blue Box started out as pretty much a Mexico-based incubator accelerator program, but has over the course of the last year or so really expanded throughout Latin America and the Mundo Latino in general. Basically, we've got somebody in Barcelona right now. We're talking to folks in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Colombia, the Dominican Republic. And it turns out the model of government partnership, corporate venture partner with an accelerator management company like Blue Box is exportable in and of itself. So one of the things we're talking to the Dominican Republic and Colombia about is actually implementing that model for building innovation ecosystems in those countries. So kind of interesting. And one of the things that I'm working on is what we're thinking of right now is a post-acceleration project. So companies that we've worked with in our incubator accelerator programs in Mexico who are ready to come to the U.S. either to raise funds or to seek customers is working with folks like University of San Diego, Arizona State, and other folks here in the U.S. to add another layer of training and acceleration to prepare them for U.S.-based fundraising, U.S.-based customer acquisition.
Okay. Thank you. We still have time for 2 more words, and then we'll give you some time for you guys to ask. Talent. So talent, we already talked about the abilities that you have, the tools that you have. So this will be more focused on what kind of projects you're looking for. What do you look on an entrepreneur or a startup?
Okay, so it's going to be odd, but the great advantage working in the border is that you can actually speak English and you have almost to no problem in communicating. It'll work great. So so that's also a requisite for the startups. We need them to understand, to talk English, so they can actually have a better position to actually sell the products and attract investors from the U.S. But we're focused on 5 major areas. One of them we actually have great success is medical devices and healthcare, digital health or wherever you want. We have some success on fintech. We have a couple of fintech solutions, especially for the Latin American market, which is a huge opportunity, and the cross-border market. We're working with EdTech, and we're trying to expand to have IoT. So, which is also a great resources we have in the region. Not only in Tijuana, but also San Diego. So Tijuana is probably one of the, and San Diego has large, vast manufacturing capabilities for medical devices and IoT. So we want to explode that potential.
Okay, thank you. Eduardo, what kind of projects are you looking for?
We have a strong school in engineering, so a lot of also technology projects like IoT. Also, we have a lot of manufacturing industry around, so automation it's one. But also we have a lot of creative industries projects coming into us. So design, and I must say a word about talent that our students, we encourage them to participate a lot in the ecosystem. So they go into this B2Pitch Binational event, and they have been having very good results so far. We also have a small seed fund for money for graduates from CETIS. So the best projects get some seed that CETIS puts in their hands.
Thank you. Charles, what kind of projects are you looking for?
Yeah, so a lot of that is driven by our corporate venture partners, right? So you can imagine Sinopolis cares about entertainment, Media Tiempo cares about sport and sport-related startups. Axtel Alestra is really an IT group, so they care traditional IT. But within that, it's a pretty broad range of the kinds of things that those companies are looking to get involved with. It's companies that they either think have some benefit to their customers or to their internal operations. So you kind of imagine that they can be fairly broad. One thing I haven't mentioned is that we recently raised about a $7 million US fund that is really focused on seed to table. So it's ag tech and food related. And so we're starting to scout for companies that fit into that sort of vertical. And one of the companies that is a US-based company that's just started with us is an agricultural drone company, and so they're part of that track. So we're very interested in those things, and frankly, we're talking to one of the largest global insurance companies about doing one of these programs. So we'll be looking at fintech-related startups, I'm sure, soon.
Thank you. So we'll have the last word before the questions that you might have. So I will let them select their own randomly. So you select yours, you select yours. Let's see. So Guillermo, which one is you? Oh, trouble. So trouble will be more focused on failure, because nothing is creams and peaches and everything. Not everything is pink. So tell us about that. And we don't know about failure. Right? No, so tell us a little bit about issues, trouble, failures. The not so bright side of it.
So yeah, I think that the biggest challenge is actually not the lack of talent and not the entrepreneurship, but it's more of building the support system that actually helps us expand and grow our business. So the biggest concern is that investors and investment in Mexico is not really that mature. Also entrepreneurs are starting to grow that, but they're still looking for traditional ways of financing. The other difference is that the traditional U.S. way that you bootstrap or you finance or you put everything on your credit card, it's not really viable in Mexico. So so it's been a harder struggle to get that first phase of projects going. So at our beginning, we wanted to get like those big projects, and we thought, well, once we have this big project, obviously Google and Microsoft is going to buy our services, but then we discovered that the reality of it was well. So what we're working now is to actually have this bigger community and educating the community of these opportunities. And one of the parts is actually having this wider scope understanding of what the U.S. looks for in a project, and having a local partner to actually invest in our startups.
Thank you. Eduardo, talk. So talk is focused on your own personal story. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm an electronic engineer. That was my career. And since I graduated, I started looking for projects to participate. So I became an entrepreneur. We did some wireless projects, some biofuels projects, and after being into all the incubator, I was in Silicon Valley at TechBa. It's a technology business incubator funded by Mexican government. I finished my PhD, so I decided to go into the university to pass on all this knowledge, because I think that we have a very talented young guys, and since we advance certain path, then we should pass that knowledge into them and help them start in that point, not in the one that we start. So I think I'm very excited about what's happening in Tijuana, and I think we're going to see we're going to hear from great entrepreneurs in the years to come.
Thank you very much. Charles, what was your word?
Tequila shots. Traction.
Traction. So that will be the bright side of it. So you can tell us about those success cases.
Yeah, well, you know, I think people talk about. So I'm a systems guy and an ecosystem guy. So you know, one thing to think about is that it's only really been about 5 years that there has been a real startup innovation. What we think of in California as a startup innovation culture in Mexico. Traditionally, being an entrepreneur in Mexico meant opening a retail location or a restaurant location that you were planning to be a generational business that you would pass on to your sons and daughters, and they would run forever. And if you were successful, you pretty much invested in commercial real estate because that's what you do, and that was a nice safe place to put your earnings. But it's really been over the course of the last 5 years or so that the innovation ecosystem in Mexico started to really gain traction. And so you're now seeing people who have started companies, failed, and are starting again, which is generally a sign that there's a vibrant ecosystem. And you're seeing really talented engineers and business people who have maybe been to Silicon Valley, participated in a startup, had an exit or a failure or whatever it was, and they decided to come back to Mexico and start their next company. And you're now starting to see, just the level of talent